Guys, it's Roger here. I've always been blown away by Las Vegas. It's a show, right? A spectacle. There's no more over-the-top place on Earth. You're walking down the strip, and a powerful beam of light shoots off the top of a pyramid that can be seen from space. A volcano erupts with an incredible show of fire and pyrotechnics. Astounding performers from Cirque du Soleil are dazzling audiences. It's all about creating hype and excitement that draw players in the door. Well, in today's episode, I'm talking with Mr. Craig Cavalier, who's the visionary president of the Silverton Hotel and Casino, and he's making a splash off the strip. Get that, off the strip. We're going to talk all about the strategy, the idea making, the brainstorming, and the hooks that are setting his properties apart. Not only that, we're going to talk about two of the biggest retail brands on the planet that have come to the Silverton and the impact it's having on business. It's all about marketing firepower, and there's going to be so many takeaways that you can apply to your own operation. Don't miss this episode. Hey, welcome back everyone to the Restaurant Rockstars podcast, engaging topics that help restaurants and hotels build their brands, rock their profits, and deliver amazing guest service experiences. Today I'm speaking with Mr. Craig Cavalier. He is the president of the Silverton Hotel and Casino in fantastic Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome to the show, Craig. How are you today?
Hey, good morning. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, I'm glad to have you here. So you have an extensive hospitality background. Obviously, you're the president of a very large hotel enterprise. You run lots of restaurants within that hotel. Let me ask you, for the audience, how you got into the hospitality business. Does that story go way back?
It does. 25 years or so. So as the managing partner for Silverton, there's a whole backstory to how did you get to that, right? How do you have a successful resort and casino in Las Vegas? And it really started as a retail shopping center developer, which there is an absolute tie-in because, you're building projects for Walmart and Target and doing different things around Southern California with really the ultimate goal there is to facilitate a large project that draws thousands and thousands of people a day, 5, 6, 7,000 people a day, so that Target and Ross and TJ Maxx and Kohl's and the restaurants and all these guys are successful. I'm trying to drive $150 million to $200 million of GDP in my project. Why? So that they'll pay rent, I can pay the bank, and everybody's happy, right? So that really started, in my 20s, 23, 24, 25 years old, really getting into those developments, and I did a lot of that. But it was in about 1996 or 7 that our chairman of our company, Ed Roski, had a vision here in LA to build a new arena project. And the arena was going to be home to the Los Angeles Lakers and the LA Kings, and which we now know as Staples Center in downtown LA.
Been there many times.
So Ed asked me in 96 if I would, we just finished a bunch of retail projects, if I would join the development team and his partner AEG, as we know, AEG and Majestic, the real estate company that I'm also a principal in. I'm on both sides, hospitality and real estate. When I go on the development team and we talk about hospitality, there's no bigger hospitality environment than treating, 1 million people a year to LA Kings and the Los Angeles Lakers and the Clippers, and what ultimately became LA Live with the Ritz-Carlton and Marriott and all the stuff around that. So, that really took us into what are we going to do to be different here? And we went around and traveled and looked at all the different arenas around the country. We looked at not only the service and the fan experience, food and beverage, right? Food and beverage, a big part of the fan experience, positive, negative. How are we going to be different in LA? We're going to have the Grammys here. We're going to do all these things. We got to be something special. And at some point, we'll have hospitality and hotel to support it, which we now do. But this is 96, 97 as we were in the development process. And so I've really worked on the programming elements of food, beverage, suite designs, and the thing I was most passionate about is bathrooms. Why are bathrooms important? Because it's part of the hospitality experience. Why are there always lines? Why are there always lines at the beer? The only place we make money is beer and parking, right? The teams take the rest of the money. So how do we facilitate an F&B program? How do we reinvent food and beverage at a stadium so it's not hot dogs and hamburgers, but we're in LA, everybody's going to expect more. We want to deliver more. And gosh, where else would you do it? I mean, maybe at Philadelphia Core States, or maybe you want to do it over here in Honda Center at the time, the Pond as we call it, with the Anaheim Ducks. But if you're going to do it right, you better darn well do it in downtown LA, and you better do it for the Lakers and the Kings. And they're going to expect it with the high-profile crowd. So we really reinvented food and beverage there. with the idea, with our arena club, with indoor and outdoor fireplace outside. We're the only place on the planet that has a fireplace on the outside of an arena project with patios and dining and buffet. And then we did the high-end club, which is, it morphed into different things, but it's still our high-end venue there. So we changed food and beverage, and we added more points of sale, and we added a lot of restrooms. So that really got me into hospitality, and I really enjoyed doing that. I left that project when it went under construction. Frankly, my work was done. I'm not a constructor. I'm a builder or a designer, if you will. And so that's when I got into the hospitality business, the real hospitality of a casino. And we'd just taken over a small casino in Las Vegas that we had built for another company, Boomtown Casinos. And we were just a landlord. They were a tenant. Las Vegas had 1 million people in it. This is right on the edge, just south of Mandalay Bay. Mandalay Bay didn't even exist at the time. And so I said, well, let me take a crack. I'll go out there and see what's going on as we take this place over. What would we do with it? This is in 1998. And I planned on spending a year there and just sort of looking at the real estate. What if we brought some more critical mass to this casino to draw people? What could we do with food and beverage programming? It was a very small property at the time. And I've got a passion for it. And I said, let me stay a couple of years and see how we do. And I ended up, here we are 20 years later, in 2019 as a CEO and managing partner. And while I'm not there every single day, I'm there at least one day a week. Having a great team of 1,000 people that make the thing work for us every day. We've expanded it 2 or 3 times and invested, hundreds of millions of dollars in doing so. And we've had a lot of fun with it. The last piece, then you can kind of pick this apart. The last piece of that has then taken us to new developments with new brands. So we're developing a Hyatt Place hotel on our Silverton Casino campus here in Las Vegas. I have 150 keys. It'll open up this summer. And of course, we have a small food and beverage program with that. We're building a Marriott Spring Hill project with a new casino in Pahrump, just west of Las Vegas. Silverton Ranch Casino, a great 3-meal restaurant, plus we're building 125 keys of Marriott there. But the one I'm very, very proud of in the Fort Worth Stockyards is an adaptive reuse historic district project, most visited historic district in the state. And we're doing about a $200 million project currently under construction with a highly handcrafted and curated hotel with Marriott. It's an autographed collection hotel called the Hotel Drover. And our signature restaurant, 3-meal, front yard, backyard, twinkle lights, fire pits, fireplaces, washers, all of that is called 97 West. And that's a $100 million project that's under construction at this time as well. So from real estate to sports, entertainment to gaming, and now into non-gaming hotels and in the gaming space. And you got 25 years there in 4 minutes. That's what's happened.
That's amazing. So many ideas are coming to mind here, but the common thread, and you and I share a lot in common in our philosophies towards operating, venues or hospitality enterprises, but what comes to mind is amenities and hooks and style and making a big splash and capturing the attention and imagination of the public, as your clientele. So and that continues to the present day. I had a chance to check out your website, and you've got lots of different restaurant venues. Some of them are very, very unique with a lot of really powerful hooks that are, they make a big splash. I'm sure the camera phones come out all the time, and people are posting all over social media. With that said, you're off the strip. The Silverton Hotel and Casino is off the strip, and people are familiar with the Las Vegas Strip, and all those big name hotels. So how do you compete? How do you attract your clientele? Who are your clientele, in comparison to someone that might go to, Mandalay Bay or, Luxor or some of those other properties that, people are very, very familiar with?
That's a great question, and I'll be better at answering it today than I would have been 20 years ago, but I still don't know if I figured it all out, so I'll tell you what I do know, or what I think. You've got about a $9 billion gaming market in Las Vegas, and that's just on the gaming side, so we take in about $9 billion on the strip there. Off-strip is about 2.6 billion, so there are about 40 of us that compete around the strip. Station Casinos being the biggest resorts, Red Rock and Green Valley Ranch. You've got South Point just south of us with 2,000 rooms. M Resort to the south, even further south of us on I-15, about 7 miles south. You've got Boyd Gaming with Sam's Town and the Orleans. So there's a lot of us that compete in this, quote, off-strip space. And then on the Strip, of course, everybody's fighting MGM and Caesars and Treasure Island and Wynn and Genting under construction, and that has a whole different ecosystem than what we exist in. But we have probably the most competitive retail, and I'll call it gaming and restaurants and food, beverage, and entertainment retail platform of anything that I could possibly imagine, because we all have the same slot machines. We all have good food, if not great food. We all win awards, and I mean Stations and the other casino properties that are competing for that $2.5 billion or so of gaming revenue. We also have non-gaming food, beverage, entertainment, concerts, and things like that. So what are we doing? We're all fighting for a lot of locals. We have 2 million people that live in Las Vegas. 55% of those have a high propensity to spend their entertainment dollars in casinos. They like to gamble. They like to get free concert tickets. They love the free food. If they gamble enough, they get a bunch of free food. And, the competition has forced us from 99-cent shrimp cocktail, in the old days,
Oh yeah.
to very, very elegant $75 to $85 price point steakhouses. And our Twin Creeks restaurant is a great award winner for that. But, while we get a high retail average check for that, a lot of people eat there for free, right? Because they're spending a lot of money in the casino and they're earning all those comps. And so we have this balance of very high competition for quality or premium players, customers, if you will. And we have a lot of competition for people who don't gamble a lot, but they gamble a long time, meaning they live there and they come 200 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
And every time they might only be worth 30 or 40 or $50. And all of a sudden you go, this customer, he's got a $15,000 value per year, and I've got a couple 100,000 of those. How do I keep them in my place versus giving a share of wallet to every other casino? Because they go to different places. So here's how we do it. We all compete for the same customers on the off strip from a local standpoint, and that's a very competitive business. It's highly promotional, extraordinarily high level of service to keep people committed, because it's like their country clubs. They know the dealers, they know the valet people, they know the waitresses, they know the machines they like to play, and it requires us to get really smart about what they do. So data analytics plays a big part of that. Our very robust data warehouse, so I can look at every machine you play, I know every meal you eat, I know the time of day you like to eat, and then I use data analytics to properly market to you on a direct basis. And basically, I'm trying to get you for a penny, but it costs me a few bucks every time to get you. And I'm constantly monitoring return on investment for all of those local casino players. And we have hundreds of thousands of them. To give you an idea, on any given day in our building, we have Players Club cards to measure loyalty, right? And that gives you an incentive to use it. And we have between 3,500 and 5,000 individual card holders, or uniques as we call them, playing in the casino every day. And that can translate to food and beverage, which is what this call is mostly about, to anywhere between 3,000 and 5,500 covers per day in the building. So we're selling, we're feeding 5,000 people a day in the building. And those are actually sit down. We really don't have fast food. So this is all committed, sit down and enjoy the moment, 30 minutes to an hour. That's segment one. How do you compete? Food, beverage, service, pricing. We have to keep pricing right, because some people don't earn comps, they have to buy the food. And how do we market to them? So we have to be really extraordinarily careful on return on investment to get those people on a repeat basis. The second part of that, which for us is about 30% of our business, are tourists. So how do you get tourists? You're south of Mandalay Bay. Why would anybody not go to Caesars or Wynn or Encore or any of these other great properties, Venetian? Why would they ever go off strip to go gamble? Well, one, we have a very good location on I-15, so when you come into Vegas, we're right there, we're very present. But we created a hook. You mentioned hooks. We created a magnificent hook in 2004, and that's when we talked Johnny Morris, who owned and created Bass Pro Shops, to come to Las Vegas with a flagship store. It's now Bass Pro and Cabela's at the same store, 170,000 square foot flagship retail store that drives almost 2 million people a year to its store. And those tourists leave the strip, visit Bass Pro. We connected it together, physically connected us, and then wrapped that into Silverton Casino Lodge Hotel so that it feels like a destination place. And that's when you look online, it's sort of contemporary, cool lodge and all these different elements, while Bass Pro is very on Adirondack, and made the place feel different. So we made ourselves look different. We have a sustainable competitive advantage because I have Bass Pro that drives millions of people that I don't have to pay for. I bought it one time in 2004, and we get the repeat benefit of that, of all these people coming in and exploring. So that was a big hook. And then we put another hook in there. How do you compete? For tourists, we put 117,000 gallon saltwater aquarium at the main entry so that people would have something to take pictures of. Now, this is before social media, right? In '04, we didn't have social, but we at least had photographs. And now it's one of the most photographed things, and we win all the awards for the best free attraction in Las Vegas is our aquarium out there, and it's TripAdvisor, and it's all the different awards for that. It's not just fish, sharks and stingrays, but I added another hook. And I said, rather than just have all that, why don't we have mermaids in here swimming? So we have mermaid shows. We have mermaids swimming with fish. You can get married with the mermaids, literally get in the tank, and well, you can swim with mermaids and do different things. And it's sort of kitschy and cool at the same time. It's elegant, it's pretty, it's well lit, it's very theatrical. And so we built a series of hooks. Those are two of the big ones. And that became our competitive advantage. Nobody else has that. And so if you're going to go off strip, that gives you a reason to come. And we get our fair share, we do pretty well, and we're really happy with it. But, one more thing. So we have our 300 hotel keys, so hospitality, our hotel rooms, and then we partnered with a timeshare company out of Florida, and there's 400 units of timeshare that it really is an all-suite hotel on the campus, and then we're adding 150 of Hyatt. So 4 plus 3 is 7, plus we'll have 850 keys there for the tourist, and then we have all the local hooks, and combined, we just sort of have this ecosystem that goes 365, and been doing it for 20 years there.
That's so huge. And I have to have the audience really think that through, whether you're a small independent operator, whether you're a large hotel, multi-unit chain, it doesn't matter. It all comes down to what I call marketing firepower. And you just gave us a huge example of that. Thanks for sharing. That was a great story. Let me get back to the Players Club cards that you were talking about, because we're talking about affinity, loyalty to the customer, getting them, frequent your property versus shop around and, share of wallet, you called it. It's been a long time since I've been in a casino anywhere, but does the technology exist where you can have stored value cards that, get loaded with $1,000, $2,000, $500, whatever it is, and you literally plug it into a slot machine and you can only use it in your property? Can you do anything like that?
Sure does. And when I first arrived on the scene, we would do what we call free play, right? We'd send you a piece of mail and say, come in on Tuesday between 12 and 4, and we'll give you $20 in free play. What that really meant is you came in, and I had to have an attendant hand you a $20 bill, and we would hand it to you at the machine. We wouldn't give it to you at the loyalty club because you'd put it in your pocket and walk out. So we'd hand it to you at the machine and kind of like encourage you to play it, because we want you to put it back in the machine and get you involved. A lot of things have changed since then now, right? We don't even have coins in machines anymore, and we don't hand out dollar bills at the machine because that loyalty card allowed us to connect directly with you. So when I offer you free play, or I give you bonus points, or I give you incentives to come in and get this if you do that, play this long and get that, it's all tied to your card. And so at the machine, you can actually redeem your free play there. So we don't have any now the bad news is I don't get a personal interaction. Right? In those days, you got to talk, put the money in, hey, I hope you win, everybody's happy. Now it sort of depersonalizes that transaction, but it also makes it super efficient, right? You don't have to wait in a line to do anything.
Yes.
You're not waiting,
You're
not waiting on that.
Awesome.
So we're very efficient in transacting that offer to you. We're very efficient in giving you the free play, and we can also give you your food, beverage, concert, all that other stuff can occur basically at the machine, except if we need to give you a piece of paper to work with, like a ticket to go somewhere. We've also depersonalized that for efficiency because it's just the amount of people in a building like this. And we have kiosks where you basically touch your pad and out pops your ticket and you're off to the concert, or you're off to do whatever you want to do. So the good news is the industry, has made it efficient for us to deliver those things to people, good service. The bad news is over time, we've depersonalized the gaming hospitality experience because there's no longer coin people walking around giving you change for coin. You only have one floor person working in the casino for about every 100 machines. And so there could be 100 customers with one person. You're lucky to even interact with that person. And in large part, you don't even need to, frankly, because if you win, you get a piece of paper, you go and stick that in the kiosk, get your $1,000 you just won, and walk out of the building, and you never have to talk to anybody. So efficiency good, level of connection with your customer low, but your ability to reward them is very high with instant gratification.
You're obviously turning your tables over multiple times in multiple day parts throughout the day. You mentioned data analytics. Are you tracking, the tourists versus the locals versus the high rollers versus all that sort of stuff through this? Is it possible to, even break it down to how many customers a day you serve food and beverage to that came, through the Bass Pro Shop? I mean, how technical can you get?
Well, it's gotten pretty crazy. First, when you made a comment about a single property operator, if you think about the gaming market in the 2.5 billion range, and let's say that we only operate with about 5% of that. So 95% of all that business is happening some other place, and we get our fair share. We actually have a premium to our fair share, and we look at fair share as total slot machines in the off-strip market equals X. We own Y. What percentage of the market do we have? And then take the total gaming revenue, and we are either getting dollar for dollar our fair share, or we have a premium, meaning we're getting more than we deserve, or we're getting less than we deserve. If we're getting less, we start firing people, right? If we're getting more, everybody's rewarded. So we have operated as a premium to our fair share of gaming market win for year after year after year. We do really well. Answer to your question on tracking. It has been an evolutionary process, but I can tell you today we've invested several $1 million over the years in all of our data analytics and our hardware and our software. We have 5 full-time analysts that manage that data. Frankly, there's more data than you can ever process.
Oh
And you have
yeah,
to select
it's
it. You have to
overwhelming, is what it
deselect.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to deselect data. But if you had a card and you came in for the next couple of weeks, or you came in yesterday, I would be able to tell when you arrived on property, especially if you're a VIP, because you go through and you get preferred parking through a gated area. I know when you're on property. I don't know, it doesn't have an RFID chip that says you've arrived inside of the gate yet, but in the 4 walls of the 100 acres that we own there. But the minute you engage that card in anything, I'm tracking you from point to point. What does it track? It'll track if you eat for sure. It'll track if you make a transaction at a kiosk machine to get bills or cash out or redeem. It'll track that. It'll tell me if you went to the Players Club to interact and do something, the hotel if it interacted. But what it really does is track all of your activity on the machines. And then what does it do? It tracks every single keystroke, if you will, on a slot machine. So you put $1 in or $100 in or 10,000 in, it'll track every bet you made. Because you might be on a coin machine that you can bet a penny or $100. So I know when you bet a penny, I know which game you selected, and I know what the outcome is. And I know every single game. So then I know what your time on device is and your average bet and what you prefer to play, because the average player plays about 15 games a day. And so we watch you play your 15 games. We know what your average bet is. We know what you prefer to do. We know what your affinity games are. We track you as you move around the casino. And ultimately, we're one of the few casino operators that does this. We redesign the casino constantly to group product or merchandise around you. And we find everyone that looks like you. If I can find 10,000 people that look like you, I'll build a mini casino in the casino, and you'll turn around and go, gosh, they moved my favorite machine right here. I used to have to walk over there. And so we start grouping merchandise together, slot machines, so that we can reduce your time moving where we're not making money. We don't make any money unless you're engaging. So we put the product closer to you. You appreciate it. You don't know how it happened, but we're constantly looking at that. And so we're remanaging the casino merchandising of the floor, and we have about 1,800 slots. So there's a lot to move around all the time. On a constant basis. So that's how much we know and how much we pay attention to it. One more thing.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
One more thing.
All right.
And within that group, there's 15 different tiers of people. And the tier is typically how much time you spend on device and what your ultimate value to us is. And then we have to break those 15 into pieces. And you're either local, you're a local drive. Phoenix is a local drive. Southern California is local drive. Northern California, you're a fly market. So we have local, drive, and fly, 3 different buckets. And each of those buckets has multiple tiers up to 15. So you could be managing 45 different customer segments. And we only operate in 30-day cycles. Every 30 days, there's a new promotion. There's a new offering. It's got a brand. It's got a logo. It's got a position statement. It's just repackaging the same net effect of what you're doing, getting people to come and engage your customer, but you have to call it something different, make it look fresh. And, we've done it 20 times on 12 weeks. So, we've been doing this a long time, and it's been a big learning experience.
What type of excitement Craig, can you create, or are you creating within the casino environment when people are winning, just to give the impression that people are constantly winning, like as if your casino is luckier than the casino down the street, that sort of thing, right? Just to keep people saying, yeah, that's the place. It's like everyone's hitting all the time, and it's just a matter of time before I hit the big jackpot. You know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, there's been I mean, if you do this long enough, I guess in any industry, you'll say, well, it's changed over time. Now I'm the old guy saying, yeah, things change, right? The way we communicate winners, the way we communicate big jackpot winners, 10,000 and above, $100,000 jackpots and so forth. We certainly communicate that through now social media. Craig wins $25,000. We show a picture holding the big check. We put it on one of our 72 video screens around the property. Sometimes we do billboards and actually do a billboard campaign if we have significant winners that are willing to put their face on a billboard.
Yeah,
We made
that's
one
cool.
guy we had this one guy that wins $100,000 sitting in front of the cage one day on a slot machine. I go, that's a pretty big slot winner when you win 100K.
No doubt.
And he wins 100, and while we're sitting there paying him out, he spins around with his hand full of bills, and he's talking to the change girl, and they're getting all the transaction done. He wins another 100. Royal Flush wins another 100 while he's waiting to get paid. He won one, which is impossible. It just never happens.
Yeah, what are the odds of that happening? You just said it's. I mean, think about that.
It's winning the lottery, basically. It's just impossible.
Sure.
We don't know when people are going to win. Everything is randomized.
Yes.
I have no idea when the team's going to hit. And happy to pay him, but he agreed to let us put his face on a billboard. So we did about a 6-month billboard campaign.
That's awesome.
Where he's holding 2 big bags of money. It was a lot of fun. So there's direct like that. There's a social media piece to promote. But to be sure, locals don't believe any of that. They know they're too smart. There's no reason to tell them you win more jackpots or you pay out more Royal Flushes or you've got the loosest slots. That's all just a joke. There's no reason to tell people that. Tourists, you could still talk about, hey, we pay out a lot of jackpots because they come once or twice a year and they buy into the whole lore of, this is the most winning casino in town. So then you're sort of dancing a balance. You don't want to over promote that you got the loosest slots. You don't want to talk about 99.9% payback machines. And you don't want to say I pay out more of this. But you do want the illusion that this is a fun place. And that's really where you're going. How do we make this place feel?
Yeah.
How do we create energy? How do we make it fun? And you do it with live music and you do it with a lot of personal interaction with the customers so they can talk about jackpots that hit last. You can say so-and-so won a machine, that machine hadn't hit. And you just create stories that just kind of continue to flow around in the building. But I think that the industry is kind of beyond saying we've got the loosest slots in town because it's really just not true. Nobody's got the loosest slots in town. We all play at about the same hold percentages, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and I would think that winning is a function of traffic volume through a property. So, if you've got 100,000 square foot casino versus someone that's got a 25,000 square foot casino, you're going to have more traffic going through the bigger property. Then there's going to be more random winners. Is that true?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's math, right? So it's pure math. And it's what's the volume. And, I've got more slot. MGM has 5,000 slot machine or 5,000 rooms, right? It's the largest hotel in the world. Right there at Trop and the Strip. I've got more slot machines than MGM has, and I've got 300 rooms. I mean, Wynn has 800 something games. I've got 1,800 games. So we actually have more slots than what the traditional property than they have. Now they've all gone from big rooms, right? Smaller slot floors, maybe a little more table games,
right?
But they've increased restaurants and nightclubs, all the non-gaming revenues. So gaming revenues used to be here. And say it was 75% of the total revenue on the Strip. And then we were all like, oh my God, one day it went to 50-50. Gaming was 50 and non-gaming was 50. Now non-gaming revenue is more than gaming revenue. So gaming revenue is only growing at maybe 1%, 1 or 2% a year as it's recovered from the downtime. And so it's fairly static in Las Vegas. Non-gaming revenue is doing that, right? It's hotel, food, beverage, entertainment has really skyrocketed. Point being, you're right, volume matters. Off strip, you get more volume. And there is a differential in call it our profit margin on a slot or video poker machine. We do have a lower profit margin. We call it hold percentage, but a lower profit margin than the Strip. So if we hold 6.5% of the total volume gambled, the Strip is going to be higher than that, 8, 9%. So their games are tighter, meaning the longer you play there, you'll lose more than if you go out and you have coin in or total wagers of $100,000 on the strip, you're going to lose more money. You're going to lose 8 or 9,000, and in our place, you lose about 6.5 to 7,000. So our product is priced lower than the strip, but all of us off strip are priced about the same. If that helps them.